Hey, how's it going, everybody? So you heard me play over a G minor progression, and in this progression, it was a 1-4-2-5. This is a really common progression used throughout jazz music. The reason why I'm doing this is because today I'm going to talk about something really cool that you can do with minor over dominant chords. So as a quick little recap, if you haven't seen my last video, I highly recommend you watch it because it's really going to tie in with this. So in that video, I mentioned that with the C MIXOLYDIAN bebop scale, you play that over C MIXOLYDIAN, or like a C7 or a C13. And there's a little bit more to this. Moving on with this, I also said that with the David Baker bebop lick, that's derived from the C MIXOLYDIAN bebop scale as well. And that's all true. But there's going to be 5% of people that are going to say something else. And they're probably going to say that this can also be derived from the G DORIAN bebop scale. So you may be asking yourself, are these people crazy? What are they talking about? I don't really know for sure. Maybe 3 of them are. But you should ask them. But kind of going away from that, they have a point with this. So check this out. I'm going to play C MIXOLYDIAN bebop, and then I'm going to play G DORIAN bebop, and see if you can hear a difference with them. All right, so here's C MIXOLYDIAN. Now here's G DORIAN. So the difference is really minute. The notes in both of these scales are exactly the same. The only difference is with G DORIAN, you have that minor third, and the root is G. And with the C MIXOLYDIAN bebop scale, the root is C, and it has that major third. So there's a formula in thinking minor over these dominant chords, and I'm going to show you that right now. Here we have the C9 chord, and the root is obviously C. But what you do is you take the root and you go up a fifth and you think in minor. And that gives you G minor. So this is a really broad concept. And there's a lot of different scales that you can do with this. However, to make it a little bit less daunting, I'm going to give you 4 scales that you can do to kind of get you started with this. So up first, we have the G minor pentatonic scale. Then we have the G DORIAN scale. Now we have the G DORIAN bebop scale. And last but definitely not least, we have the G melodic minor scale. So these are all really great scales that you can use with this, and it will give you a lot to work with. So the chords that work really well with these scales are the NEC MIXOLYDIAN scale, or chord. This is like a C13 type voicing. This works really well with all of them, and depending on how you use that G melodic minor scale, you should kind of be careful with that, because if you really emphasize the F sharp in that, that'll give you Lydian dominant, and that'll sound like this, which is another great option that you can do. And again, this works really well with that G melodic minor scale. Up next, we have C11, C sus4, and C sus2. These work well with G minor pentatonic and G DORIAN and G DORIAN bebop. So that's about it for that, but it doesn't really stop there. So you can take these 2 ideas and you can invert them, and you can be like the X-Men. But I would be careful about doing that. People would think you're really weird at gigs. Okay, so Now we have G minor. And what you do is now you go up a fourth and you think in dominant. And that will give you C7 or C9 in this case again. And this is really cool because this will get you to start thinking in triads. And you can think in different arpeggios that involve these different chords that I gave you, such as all the C MIXOLYDIAN type chords that you have. And you can do the like C11 chords. And you can do the C sus chords that I gave you, and that C Lydian dominant type voicings as well. And by doing this, this will really get your lines to think more outside of the box, and instead of just thinking in chord scale. And what chord scale is where you're basically taking a scale and you're applying it to whatever chord that you're thinking of or playing in at that moment. So an example would be if you're playing over a D9 chord, you would play D MIXOLYDIAN. Or if you have like a D major 7, you would do D Ionian. Or you would do, depending on if you want to be a little bit more out, you could do D Lydian and have that sharp 4. So yeah, this is a really great way of getting away from that. It'll really open up the box. Someone who did this really well that you can kind of take as an example is Wes Montgomery. He does this on his 4-on-6 solo. And he does this on the 4th chorus. And all of a sudden he throws in this C7 type idea, and Tommy Flanagan also emphasizes that with him. And the combination of both of them doing that really reinforces this idea. And it really catches your ear. I remember the first time I heard this, I was like, whoa, what is that? And lo and behold, it was this. So that about wraps it up for this lesson. And you're going to hear the rest of my solo where I'll throw this in as well. And also, I'd love to hear some of y'all's favorite players that think in minor R and that use this concept. Some of my other ones are Pat Martino, because he plays guitar, obviously, and he thinks almost exclusively in this. And I also love Herbie Hancock, because he'll throw in those minor pentatonics, and he'll also do really cool odd note groupings over the dominant chords, and it creates a really interesting effect. So that about wraps it up, and in the next lesson, we're going to talk about the licks that I mentioned way back in the first part of this series. And up first is Clifford Brown, and we're going to compare him to that David Baker bebop lick. So, I'll see y'all there.